Texas is ranked lowest in the country for local food consumption. We're here today at the East Austin Urban Farm Tour to find out how local farms are helping to address this problem. Today, farmers will be providing information on gardening techniques. Local chefs will be giving demonstrations on food made from local farms, and we'll get lots of great information on how to access food locally. So let's go find out what they're doing.
River bottom, you know, floodplain. So it's this amazing soil, and 22 feet down is water. So when we bought this place, it had 2 hand-dug wells, and this was just meant to be farmed. People were interested, and we had more produce than we knew what to do with, so we opened a little farm stand. And then I guess it just kind of evolved organically, right? That's my favorite part.
I started kind of getting into the local food movement, and I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for a long time, and I started realizing that I was just eating really unhealthy. And I live right up the road, so I always drove by, and I just started coming in and talking to Paul and Glenn, and they just became like really good friends of mine, and they asked me one day if like I wanted to help out, and of course I wanted to. I would do anything to just be here all the time.
I try to buy as much local food as possible. Shopping at like Wheatsville and Ingredients, those are 2 stores, then all the farmers markets.
This is my favorite place in Austin. I love the chickens. I think everybody should come here. I think they should see what it's like to work your land. That doesn't happen as much anymore. And it's great to have chickens in the neighborhood.
Once you taste farm fresh produce, you can never go back. It's just the taste is so different. The nutrition, you can just feel it when you're eating it, that you know you're eating like good food.
Even if it doesn't taste better, it tastes better. It's in your mind. I don't know, it's just better for the environment.
I think it's much better than eating corporate food, which I'm pretty sure everybody in Texas is eating.
You know the people who are farming it, so it's like, you know that they're not going to put anything in it that is poisonous or chemical or anything.
100 years ago, it seemed like almost everyone either produced their own food, or what they didn't produce, they got it from their neighbor. And so that was very common in my childhood.
We're just here today because Texas was voted lowest in the country for local food consumption. And so we're kind of interested in why people are interested in urban farms and why they're here today, and how much local food they eat. And
yeah, I guess I was really interested coming out today just to see what the local farms had to offer and what they provide.
First of all, let me say how stupid that Texas is at the bottom. We find ourselves at the bottom of all sorts of horrible statistics, you know, and that's a really bad one because so much food is being grown in Texas, so why aren't we sourcing locally? So I'm ashamed of us.
Well, that surprises me a little bit, but I feel like we live in a bubble here in Austin. We're very lucky to have access to a lot of locally grown produce. I think we have a long way to go. We have a lot of work to do.
I think that's sad, but I also think that at least in terms of Austin, we are up and coming, and right now Austin is kind of really setting a trend with like local food. And every new restaurant that I've heard of is trying at least to do something farm to table. There's a new chef that comes in basically like every other market saying, I want to sell your produce, you know, I want to cook with your stuff. And in Houston there's new restaurants coming up, but I definitely think we need to work on that. Like, that's really sad.
Okay. Here's the sad part, that city governments should be supporting urban farms everywhere and anywhere, and it's a complete tragedy that they're not being supported. Urban farms are places of health and education in a time when our cities are blowing up. Obesity is rampant. Food-related diseases of all kinds are of epic proportions.
I do not envy Texas farmers at all. It's a very, very difficult life. Especially here in Austin, we have kind of some wacky microclimates. Crops are easily wiped out, but it's a very hard living, and the best thing that restaurateurs and chefs can do is support these local farms, because without us they wouldn't be able to support themselves.
Most of us can't afford to pay our own taxes, because if you have land in the middle of a city, your taxes are way jacked up, because we're growing out in the county, you know, we just wouldn't have those kind of property taxes to deal with, period. But then additionally, out of the county you can get an ag-based tax valuation. And you can't in the city unless you go through these unbelievably rigorous things. So if you have one cow out on 5 acres out in the county, you can get an ag exemption. And you're not raising food, you got a cow out there so you can get the ag valuation. But we're actually literally providing food for people every single day. And you would not believe what it takes to get an ag valuation. So that's going to put most people who want an urban farm completely either out of business or they won't be able to get into business in the first place.
What do you think of the fact that Texas is lowest in urban? I'm not going to ask you about that. That might be a sensitive question for you.
He's like, yes, great. I think it's wonderful. I love that people don't eat rabbits raised next door.
We had a great day today. We got to tour 4 urban farms. We got to learn some great gardening techniques, sample some really good food from local restaurants who source their food locally. We got to learn about politics and policies that influence how local farms can source, how they can sell, what some of the restrictions are, what some of the benefits are. So it looks like if people could come to farms like this, buy from farms like this, have produce delivered from farms like this, that we could make a big impact on Texas's lowest ranking for local food consumption.